The peaceful colony on Earth had always been a symbol of hope for humanity. It was a place where people could live without fear, a place where technology, science, and culture were flourishing. There were no signs of war, no signs of trouble. Life was good. But as the sun set on the colony one evening, something changed. Far above Earth, in the dark reaches of space, an alien fleet was coming. The aliens had watched humanity for years, thinking of Earth as nothing more than a backwater planet. They saw humans as weak, primitive beings with no true strength or power. The galaxy's great empires had no fear of humanity. After all, humans had no advanced technologies, no fleets of ships, and no special weapons. They were easy to ignore, easy to take advantage of. But the aliens had made one huge mistake. They had never understood the power of human determination. As the first alien ships entered Earth's atmosphere, the humans had no idea what was coming. The warning systems on the planet went off. At first, people thought it was just another drill, a test of their defenses. But soon, they realized the truth. Alien ships, huge and menacing, were coming toward the colony, and they weren't here for peace. The first blast hit a large city, reducing it to rubble in a single strike. The humans had no idea how to fight back. Their weapons were nothing compared to the alien technology. The invaders had shields that could deflect anything thrown at them, and their weapons could destroy buildings in seconds. Panic spread through the colony. Military leaders scrambled to organize a defense, but their efforts were quickly crushed. Alien soldiers dropped from the skies, armed with energy rifles that burned through anything they touched. Buildings fell to the ground. Fires erupted in every direction. The human defenders fought bravely, but they were outmatched. There was no way they could win. One soldier, Captain John Harris, stood on a rooftop, watching the destruction unfold. His heart pounded in his chest. He had trained for years to defend Earth, but nothing could prepare him for this. The aliens didn't even seem to be trying to win. They were just destroying everything in their path. But as John watched, something inside him clicked. It wasn't fear he felt now. It was rage. The rage of knowing that his home, his people, his planet was under attack by creatures that had no right to be here. He gripped his weapon tighter, his knuckles turning white. He wasn't going to stand by and let them destroy everything he loved. John fired a shot at the nearest alien soldier. It didn't do much damage, but it was enough to get their attention. The alien turned toward him, eyes glowing with a cold, unfeeling light. But that was the moment when something inside John snapped. He wasn't just defending his home anymore. He was fighting for survival. He wasn't going to let these invaders win. He ran toward the aliens, yelling as loud as he could. The sound of his voice, filled with pure anger and fear, echoed through the ruins of the city. It was a sound that made the aliens pause. For the first time, they felt something they had never expected from humans: fear. The battle grew more intense as the humans began to fight back with everything they had. They knew they couldn't win with their current weapons, but they fought with the kind of determination that no alien could have prepared for. They fought with everything they had left, their hearts burning with the desire to protect their homes and families. But it wasn't just rage that drove them. It was something deeper, something that made humans unique in the galaxy. As the days passed, more and more humans joined the fight, and their anger turned into a kind of power, something that started to change the tide of the battle. They didn't stop, no matter how many alien soldiers they faced, no matter how many cities were destroyed. Humans refused to back down. And the aliens noticed. One high-ranking alien commander, Zorath, watched as his forces began to lose ground. He couldn't understand it. The humans should have been easy to crush. They were weak. They had no advanced weapons, but somehow, against all odds, they were fighting back harder than he had ever imagined. The alien forces were beginning to retreat in some areas, a few of their ships even destroyed by the fury of human attacks. Zorath's mind raced. He had underestimated the humans. He had thought they were nothing, just a primitive species. But now he saw them for what they were: dangerous. They weren't just fighting for survival. They were fighting to win. They had no intention of losing. In the heart of Earth's capital city, a massive battle unfolded. The streets were filled with the sound of gunfire, explosions, and the screams of the wounded. But amidst the chaos, there was one thing the aliens hadn't counted on: the human spirit. The human soldiers fought not because they were trained to do so, but because they had something to protect. They fought because they believed in their people, their planet, their future. They fought because they refused to give up. And that belief, that strength, made them unstoppable. Back in the city, John Harris stood among a group of soldiers, watching the destruction unfold. His clothes were torn, his face smeared with dirt and blood. But his eyes were filled with fire. "We're not just fighting for Earth anymore," he said, his voice hoarse. "We're fighting for every person who's ever called this planet home. And we're not going to stop until they leave." His words were like a spark in a dry forest. The soldiers around him nodded, their faces hardening with resolve. They didn't have the most advanced weapons. They didn't have the best ships. But they had something far more dangerous: their rage, their will to survive. And as the night fell, the battle for Earth raged on. The alien fleet, which had thought they could crush humanity in an instant, now found themselves struggling against the unexpected force of human fury. The aliens had never faced an enemy like this before. For the first time, they realized that they had made a mistake. They had underestimated humans. And now, the price of that mistake would be paid in blood. The next few days were a blur of destruction and chaos. The alien fleet had been pushed back, but the cost had been immense. Cities lay in ruins, and countless lives had been lost. The surviving humans were battered, but not broken. Despite their losses, they had proven one thing: humanity was not to be underestimated. Alien forces, watching from afar, could hardly believe their eyes. They had expected Earth to fall quickly, like so many planets before it. But instead, the humans had fought back with a strength they could not have predicted. In the command center of the alien empire, Zorath, the alien commander who had overseen the attack, paced nervously. His once confident demeanor had begun to crack. His reports were filled with accounts of unexpected resistance, soldiers who had fought back ferociously, and battles that were supposed to be won swiftly but had turned into costly affairs. The humans, despite having little advanced technology, seemed to adapt quickly and fight with a fury that he could not comprehend. This wasn't just a war to them. It was a fight for survival, and the aliens were starting to feel the heat. Zorath had underestimated the humans, and now he knew that the only way to finish the job was to overwhelm them completely. The first wave had failed because the humans had something more than weapons. They had something in their hearts that the aliens had never experienced: the will to fight, to survive, no matter the odds. As the days passed, the alien forces regrouped, calling upon reinforcements from across the galaxy. They brought with them new, more advanced weapons, stronger shields, and battle tactics that were designed to crush any resistance. The humans, however, didn't back down. The people of Earth knew they were not as strong as the aliens, but they were determined to fight. They quickly began to organize, gathering what resources they could, and working together like never before. Earth's military leaders, once divided, now united under one banner: humanity's survival. They couldn't win by matching the aliens' technology. They had to outsmart them. And that's exactly what they did. Humans began to use guerrilla tactics, blending into the cities, setting traps, and striking when the aliens least expected it. They worked together, relying on their ingenuity, their ability to adapt, and their sheer willpower. In one of the hardest-hit cities, Captain John Harris led a group of soldiers through the ruins. His face was grim, but his resolve was clear. The humans weren't running. They were fighting back harder than ever. As he led his team to a hidden bunker beneath the city, he couldn't help but feel a sense of purpose. The aliens might have been better equipped, but they didn't know Earth the way humans did. They didn't understand the land, the terrain, or the people who lived there. And that, John knew, was their biggest mistake. The black ship was a relic, a forgotten piece of technology from Earth's distant past. It had been discovered in the ruins of an old military base, and it was unlike anything the humans had ever seen. The ship's technology was unlike the aliens. It was human-made, but far more advanced than anything they had at the time. It was a symbol of humanity's resourcefulness, of their ability to adapt and improve even the most primitive technology. And now, it was their last hope. As the black ship rose into the sky, the aliens watched in shock. The ship's engines roared to life, and it moved faster than anything the aliens had ever encountered. The black ship's weapons fired, and alien ships exploded one by one. The human forces had never seen such a display of power, and for the first time, the alien forces were on the defensive. The humans had a weapon that the aliens couldn't counter, and they were using it to full effect. Zorath, the alien commander, was watching the battle unfold from his flagship. He had thought that humanity's defeat was inevitable, but now he was seeing something he never expected. The humans had turned the tide of the war. The black ship was only the beginning. Earth had shown the galaxy what it could do when pushed to the limit. And now the alien forces were scrambling to adapt. They had underestimated humanity's potential, and now they were paying the price. The fight grew fiercer as the alien fleet struggled to keep control. The humans, emboldened by their newfound strength, pushed forward with everything they had. Each battle was won not just with firepower, but with a fierce, unwavering belief that they would not be defeated. The black ship, with its superior technology, gave them the edge they needed, but it was the human spirit that carried them through. No matter the odds, no matter the destruction, the humans refused to stop. They fought because they had no other choice. Zorath's communications were filled with frustration as reports came in. The humans had outsmarted them, outlasted them, and now they were taking the fight to the very heart of the alien fleet. The alien commander could feel the tide turning against them, and for the first time, he began to question his belief that the humans were weak. They were far from weak. They were strong, resourceful, and determined. As the battle raged on, Captain John Harris found himself leading the charge once more. His soldiers followed him without question, their eyes filled with the same fierce resolve. The aliens had come to Earth thinking it would be an easy conquest, but now they were fighting for their lives. The humans had found their strength, and it was something the galaxy had never seen before. With each victory, the humans grew stronger. The alien fleet began to retreat, and the human forces pressed on, not giving an inch. The tides of war had shifted, and humanity's revenge was only just beginning. The galaxy had feared the Milky Way, but now they would come to fear humanity itself. The aliens had learned their lesson too late. Never underestimate the strength of a species that has nothing left to lose. The war was no longer just a fight for survival. It had evolved into something greater, something more powerful. Humanity had proven time and again that they could stand against overwhelming odds and not only survive but thrive. The alien forces had underestimated the strength of the human spirit, and now they were learning that mistake the hard way. The black ship had turned the tide, but it was the human ingenuity, courage, and unity that truly made the difference. The alien fleet, once so sure of their dominance, now found themselves on the defensive. Zorath had spent years conquering worlds, watching them fall in mere hours or days, but Earth had shown him that victory could never be guaranteed. Every time they struck, humanity fought back, adapting and evolving faster than he could have imagined. The alien forces began to lose confidence, and that loss of confidence was more dangerous than anything the humans could do. Captain John Harris and his team had become legends. The battles they had fought, the victories they had won, were now part of human history. They had taken the fight to the heart of the alien fleet, striking at their command ships and disrupting their plans at every turn. The black ship had been the turning point, but it was the sheer will of the humans that kept them going. They had learned to fight smart, using their knowledge of Earth's terrain and their ability to think outside the box. The aliens couldn't predict what the humans would do next, and that unpredictability was the key to their success. As the battle for Earth raged on, more and more humans joined the fight. Every city, every town, became a base of resistance. Soldiers fought not just for Earth, but for the future of the human race. They fought for their families, their homes, and their right to live freely. There was no fear left in the hearts of humanity. The aliens had come expecting to crush Earth's spirit, but they had only awakened a sleeping giant. The humans had been pushed to the edge, but now they fought back with everything they had. The alien fleet began to falter as the black ship led the charge. The humans had learned to use their greatest asset, their ability to innovate. The black ship, once thought to be a fluke, was now humanity's greatest weapon. Its advanced technology had turned the tide, but it was human hands that made it a reality. Zoreth, who had once mocked humanity for its primitive weapons and tactics, now had to face the consequences of underestimating them. The tide of battle shifted in a way that no one could have predicted. As the alien forces retreated, they found themselves facing not only the black ship, but a series of new human-made weapons. The humans had adapted faster than the aliens could keep up, and they were now fighting a war on their terms. The aliens, who had once dominated the galaxy, were now on the run. The humans had proven that they could not be beaten. Not by weapons, not by tactics, and certainly not by fear. Zoreth, watching the retreat of his fleet, could feel the weight of his failure pressing down on him. He had seen entire worlds fall under his command, but Earth was different. The humans had fought with a spirit he had never encountered before. It wasn't just their technology or their weapons. It was their unyielding will to survive. They had taken everything the aliens had thrown at them, and had only become stronger. Zoreth had underestimated humanity, and now he was paying the price. In the final stages of the war, the humans launched a decisive strike against the heart of the alien fleet. The black ship led the charge, tearing through the alien lines with its devastating firepower. As the alien ships fell one by one, the humans began to push forward. The alien forces, now crippled and disorganized, had no choice but to retreat. Zoreth, realizing the war was lost, ordered a full retreat, but it was too late. The humans had already won. As Earth's skies cleared, the world looked on in awe. The battle was over, and humanity had emerged victorious. The alien forces, once so confident in their power, had been driven from Earth's orbit. The galaxy would never forget the day the humans stood up and fought back. They had shown the universe that humanity was not to be underestimated, and that when pushed to the edge, they would rise and take what was theirs. The victory was sweet, but the humans knew the war wasn't truly over. There were still other alien factions out there, still other threats to humanity's future. But for the first time in centuries, they felt a sense of hope. They had faced the greatest challenge of their history, and they had won. And as the stars above Earth shimmered with the light of 1,000 suns, humanity knew one thing for certain. They had shown the galaxy what happened when they got mad. The victory over the alien invaders was celebrated across Earth, but even in the aftermath, something lingered. The aliens had been forced to retreat, their fleet shattered, and their forces decimated, but humanity knew better than to rest on their laurels. The war had changed everything. The once powerless species had risen up and proved their strength, but now they faced the challenge of rebuilding, of recovering from the war, and preparing for whatever would come next. The galaxy had learned a powerful lesson, but humanity was far from satisfied. They had won, but they knew that the fight for their future was far from over. As Earth's nations began to unite more than ever before, it was clear that this war had brought humanity closer together. No longer were they divided by borders, ideologies, or old grievances. The war had forced them to put aside their differences and focus on a single goal: survival. And now that the alien threat was gone, the real work began. Rebuilding cities, restoring infrastructure, and making sure humanity would never again be caught off guard by invaders from beyond the stars. But even as the people of Earth turned their attention to rebuilding their homes, their focus never strayed far from the stars. There was always the possibility that another alien fleet would come. Humanity had learned that their first victory had been just the beginning. The galaxy had been forced to recognize their strength, but it wasn't just about fighting the aliens. It was about asserting their place in the universe. The days of being viewed as insignificant had ended. The war had shown the galaxy what humanity was capable of, and no one could ignore them any longer. Captain John Harris, now a hero to millions, stood on the balcony of the rebuilt command center overlooking the bustling city below. The world was healing, and people were finding hope in the aftermath of the destruction. But in his heart, he knew that the battle for Earth's survival wasn't over. The war had shown the aliens the cost of underestimating humanity, but there were still threats out there. And not all of them would come from the stars. Earth has taken its place in the galaxy, Harris thought to himself. But what comes next? The fleet had been defeated, but it wasn't the last time humanity would face an enemy. No, the true fight for humanity's future had just begun. It wasn't just about the wars they fought. It was about the legacy they would leave behind. How would the galaxy view them in the future? Would they be seen as a force to be reckoned with, or would other empires rise up to test their strength once more? Zoreth, the alien commander who had once believed humanity would crumble beneath their might, was now a prisoner. His eyes, once filled with confidence and arrogance, were now empty with the realization of his failure. He had seen firsthand what humanity was capable of, and as he sat in the holding cells aboard the human flagship, he began to understand that Earth was no longer just a small, insignificant planet. It was a beacon of hope and defiance, a symbol of what could happen when a species fought not just for survival, but for their right to be heard in the universe. As the days passed, more and more of the alien leaders who had once looked down on Earth began to take notice. They were not the only ones to learn a lesson from this war. Humanity had struck a blow to the alien empires that would be felt for generations. The balance of power in the galaxy had shifted, and the old systems that had once controlled everything were now facing an uncertain future. The age of Earth's submission had ended, and the dawn of a new era had begun. The human fleet, once a ragtag collection of ships and survivors, was now a formidable force in its own right. It wasn't just about winning wars, it was about preserving peace. The humans knew they had to make sure the galaxy understood that they wouldn't be pushed around again. But more than that, they had to ensure that they never again found themselves vulnerable to those who would exploit them. As Harris stood looking at the stars, his thoughts were interrupted by a communication from the High Command. The message was clear. More alien fleets were on the move. Not all the invaders had retreated, and some factions were preparing for the inevitable backlash. But this time, humanity was ready. They were no longer the underdogs. They had proven themselves, and now they were prepared for whatever challenges lay ahead. The war had been a warning to the galaxy. When humans get mad, they don't just fight. They win. The galaxy had underestimated them once, and now there was no going back. Humanity had secured their place in the stars. The universe would never look at Earth the same way again. The next time an enemy came for humanity, they would find a planet that had learned from its past, a species that had been tested and emerged victorious. And when the next battle came, humanity would be ready. The news spread like wildfire across the galaxy. The once feared invaders, who had come with the arrogance of a conqueror, now found themselves on the defensive. The human victory was not just a triumph of weapons, but of willpower and resilience. Earth, the small planet that had once been dismissed as insignificant, was now a force to be reckoned with. The galaxy's empires, once confident in their dominance, were now in a state of panic. The humans had proven that they could not be defeated, no matter the odds. For Captain John Harris and the crew of the Black Ship, the victory was bittersweet. While they had driven the invaders from Earth's orbit, they knew that peace was temporary. The war had not ended, it had only shifted. The galaxy was vast, And their enemies were not all gone. There were still factions out there, waiting, watching, and learning from the humans' rise. The question on everyone's mind was, what would the galaxy do next? Harris sat in the command room of the black ship, staring at the holographic maps of the galaxy. Earth was safe for now. But safety was an illusion. The war had made humanity stronger, but it had also made them a target. The alien fleets that had once looked down on them now feared them. But fear, Harris knew, could lead to more aggression, not peace. As the commander of humanity's most powerful warship, he understood that Earth had a long road ahead. His thoughts were interrupted by a transmission from the High Command. The message was clear. There were still more factions coming. Some alien empires had not yet learned their lesson, and they were preparing to test humanity's strength once again. But this time, Earth was ready. Humanity had no intention of being caught off guard again. The black ship was just the beginning. Humanity's new fleet was already being constructed, and it was stronger, faster, and more capable than anything the galaxy had ever seen. "We've proven ourselves," Harris muttered under his breath. "But now we have to show them we're not backing down." On Earth, the world watched as the human fleet was reformed and reorganized. The United Nations of Earth had become a powerful force, and humanity's resolve was stronger than ever. Soldiers, engineers, scientists, and leaders worked together to create new technologies, new weapons, and new strategies. The black ship had been humanity's first step, but it was only the beginning. The real fight for Earth's place in the galaxy was yet to come. As the new fleet began to take shape, more alien races began to take notice. The galaxy, once so sure of its own power, was now in a state of uncertainty. The humans had pushed back the invaders, but what would they do next? Some saw humanity as a threat that needed to be eliminated, while others viewed them as a potential ally. The uncertain future of the galaxy now hinged on the next move humanity would make. Back on Earth, the human leaders gathered for a crucial summit. The war had ended, but the next phase of humanity's journey had just begun. How would they position themselves in the galaxy? Would they play the role of a defender, always protecting Earth? Or would they become a force that would challenge the existing power structures? The questions were many, but one thing was certain. Humanity would not allow itself to be subjugated again. Harris, now a leader in the new human fleet, knew that their next steps would define the future of their species. He had seen what humanity was capable of, and he had no doubt that they could take on anything the galaxy threw at them. But he also knew that their greatest strength lay not in their technology or firepower, but in their unity and resolve. In the months that followed, humanity's presence in the galaxy began to grow. They established trade routes, formed alliances, and offered protection to planets that had been oppressed by alien empires. The humans became a symbol of resistance, of the underdog who had defied the odds and emerged victorious. The black ship was no longer just a ship. It was a symbol of humanity's strength, and it led the charge as they moved from victory to victory. But as humanity's influence grew, so did the tension in the galaxy. Alien empires that had once seen humans as weak now saw them as a rising power. And where there was power, there was always conflict. A new era had begun, and the galaxy was about to witness the full extent of humanity's resolve. Earth had fought back when they were pushed, but now they would take the fight to anyone who tried to stand in their way. As the first wave of new human ships launched from Earth's orbit, Captain Harris stood at the front of the black ship, looking out at the stars. The war had been won, but the fight for humanity's future had just begun. They had shown the galaxy what they could do when they got mad, and now the galaxy would see what they could do when they decided to fight for their place in the universe. Humanity had arrived, and they weren't going anywhere. The galaxy had been warned.